Hello and well met, my beloved audience, and welcome back to the One Piece chapter review show thing I do on this March 15th, the Ides of March. And I just realized there actually is a character named Caesar in One Piece. What, Caesar, you better be watching your ass today. All right, this day does not bode well for people with Caesar in their name. I mean, he finally found his new freedom. He's out there in the new world, traveling around, and like, I'm finally free from the Big Mom pirates and those straw hats and law. I got my heart back. I can just do whatever I want now. He's traveling as a wandering scientist, going door to door. Like, hello there, sir. Can I interest you in a scientist to create a mass death weapon? Have you ever wanted to take over your own country, sir? Well, I can make that happen. It's like, no solicitors, go away. He just gets the door shut in his face, but he's free. That's what matters. And then he turns around and he just gets from behind, and he turns around and it's Monet. Monet was alive this entire time. She made it out of Punk Hazard. She's got like a giant scar on the side of her face and everything, and she's like, you're going down, Caesar. It's like, it too, Monet. So seriously though, watch yourself. Okay, this will be One Piece chapter 936 titled The Sumo Inferno. That's right, this is Wano country, ladies and gentlemen. Do you think we're gonna stop after just one sumo match? I predict there are gonna be no less than 4 individual sumo matches in this entire arc. We already had the first match with the Yokozuna dude at the beginning of the arc. Now we have the Sumo Inferno here in the Udon prison. So there's 2 more sumo battles that are gonna be flaring up at some point. I don't know if they're gonna be Inferno based, but they're gonna be popping up. Alright, so we cut over to the Udon prison where we see what exactly the execution that Queen had in mind. You see, Queen is a rather theatrical fellow. You know, he's kind of like Frankie in that respect. In fact, I saw a comment yesterday on a live stream I did that, like, we need to have Queen and Frankie meet and do, like, a cool dance at some point. Like, ow! Ow! And Queen's like, those are some cool moves there, brother! Oh, yeah! Funky! Funky! Super Frankie! Super Frankie, funky Frankie. That needs to happen at some point, but okay. Going back a little bit more serious now, what is exactly the execution that they had planned? Okay, well, here's what's going to happen, all right? I originally thought Queen was going to pit Old Man Hyo and Luffy, you know, against one another. I thought they were going to basically be like light a ring of fire and throw them both into the arena, and only, you know, 2 men enter, 1 man leaves, like Thunderdome up in here, you know, that kind of crap. However, no, it's actually a little bit different than that. Hyo and Luffy are actually going to be on the same team for whatever help that Old Man Hyo will give Luffy. I don't know. We might find out he might have some skills from his past as the leader of the Yakuza. He certainly doesn't have his muscles anymore, but hey, his mind still seems rather sharp. He doesn't seem like a senile old man that's just drooling on himself all day, so he should probably still at least have some, like, skills in that respect, some tactics and things. Not like Luffy would really listen to him, but you know what I mean. Like, he'd still be useful in that respect there, but I'm sure Luffy's gonna have to do most, if not all, of the heavy lifting. So the way that this is going to break down is this. The Sumo Inferno is a sumo match, but it's a little bit different than the traditional sumo matches we saw at Bakura District, okay? So Hyo and Luffy are on the same side, and they are forced to wear these special collars, okay? And so these collars go around your neck, obviously, but they're a little bit different than the slave collars at Sabaody. Those ones would just explode if they were attempted to be removed by the slaves, or if they went, I guess, through a certain perimeter away from their owner. You know, the collars would just explode, right? And we've actually seen cases where even after the collar exploded, the slave was still alive, just like critically injured. These collars are a little different in the fact that death is pretty much assured, okay? These collars, if you're wearing one of these things and you step outside of the sumo arena, these spikes inside of the collar just extend, like, all around. So just picture a collar and then just like shing, 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 these like razor sharp like spikes made out of a pretty durable material. It's not sea stone though, it's a pretty durable material, sharpened to a point, just erupt at the same time. And Queen demonstrates this by taking a cement pillar with like a little smiley face drawn on it, like a cement pillar, puts the collar on that and just chucks it outside the arena, and when the spikes emit from the collar, that freaking cement pillar just crumbles. It basically basically does explode with just the force and the pressure and the sharpness of these spikes, okay? So it's not sea stone. We find that out because Queen is actually nice enough. After putting the collar on Luffy, Luffy tries to take it off and he finds he can't, and then Queen is like, well, on top of that collar, we can also send in as many men as I want to basically fight you in this sumo match. So it's not going to be one-on-one, or in this case with Luffy and Hyo, it's not going to be two-on-two. I could send in 10 guys at once, armed to the teeth with katanas and all these weapons. They can wear armor if they want, and they don't have to wear collars at all. So that's completely one-sided, but as I said, Queen is rather theatrical. He doesn't want to just end this right away, so he's fair, and he removes the sea stone cuffs from Luffy. Okay, Queen, you just dug your own grave there, man. Holy crap, like, even if you want to say, like, because Queen even brings this up, after Luffy gets his cuffs off, he's basically just like, wow, you're pretty nice, mister, you basically just let us go. And Queen is like, you know, I basically replaced it with something that's far worse, right? Is like, but no, like, even with the giant death spike collar on Luffy right now, like, straight out of Domino's BDSM dungeon on Saturday nights, even with that thing on him right now, I still think Queen messed up. Do you not still think that? Because here's the thing I want you to pay attention to, okay? When they put the collar on Luffy, he was still wearing his sea stone cuffs, which means he couldn't use his devil fruit power and he couldn't focus to use Haki. He tries to take the collar off with the cuffs still on, couldn't do it. But then Queen takes off the cuffs and Luffy does not attempt a second time to take off the collar now that he has his devil fruit powers and his armament Haki restored. I would be interested if armament Haki could hold up to those spikes, because those spikes seem pretty strong, you know, the force they come out and the sharpness, but I'm wondering, like, does all Luffy have to do is just armament up his neck and then just walk out of the arena and the collar goes off and it just kink, just falls off? Okay, let's go, old man Hyo! And the Gamu Gamu no Rocket! And then just rocket out of the free shells made out of, like, metal, like this really durable material. And Luffy went into just armament up his head a little bit and just boom! Gamu Gamu no Kane or Bell and just smashed right through that. I don't think he smashed through it entirely, but he dented it pretty damn severely and it didn't look like it hurt him at all. So little spikes coming out, I don't think that would be enough to take out his armament Haki, honestly. Although, hey, okay, there was a point in Fishman Island, though, also, when he was fighting Hody, and Hody used his teeth to bite into Luffy, and he said his armament Haki wasn't good enough yet to handle that kind of injury. All right, so that does give us an interesting little thing where Luffy can handle blunt damage, because Luffy already had a natural immunity from blunt damage, just because of his Gamu Gamu no Mi. That was just probably increased with his armament Haki. But he's always been naturally weak to slicing and piercing damage. So maybe it takes a little bit more skill. But then again, keep in mind, that was a while ago. That was Fishman Island, okay? Luffy's been through a lot of crap since then, and he went through training at the prison, so who knows? Maybe he would be able to use armament to do that. Or if not, because I don't know if exactly, because they said the spikes would shoot out if you try to leave the arena. I wonder what would happen if Luffy armament up his arms and just tried to rip off the collar really fast. I wonder if it would still detonate, if it would still go off just by a natural, like if it's a same thing with the slave collars, like if you attempt to remove it, it goes off. I would assume it would probably have that feature, but who knows? Maybe if Luffy's quick enough, you know, he could just, you know, and maybe a combination using observation and armament the same way that Rayleigh pulled off Kami's collar without it going off and taking her out. You know, he was able to take it off really quick and it exploded. Maybe Luffy could do something like that now. Maybe kind of like show similar feats with Rayleigh. Just like, hold on a second really quick. And then, you know, the spikes shoot out, but it's too late. Maybe Luffy gets like a little nicked, like he cut himself shaving or something, but nothing severe. And then he could do the same thing with Old Man Hyo. Maybe something like that. Now, we also get a funny scene with Raizo, because Raizo's off to the side with the keys, and he sees that Luffy got his sea stone shackles taken off by Queen, and Raizo's like, wait, what the I went through all this trouble! I had to go through the guard tower, I had to go all ninja, I had to sneak by the spider monkey lady, and way or something, but that's not really the case. What the situation was there was like a cart in front of Kawamatsu's cell, and so the cart was blocking the view. It's right in the middle of the yard, in the same area where the Sumo Inferno and all the guards are at. It's just that Raizo was able to hide behind the cart and talk to Kawamatsu, and he's like, "Oh, is Lord Momonosuke okay?" He's like, "Yes, he is. Oh my God, I can't believe you're still alive." He's like, "Yes, would you like to escape?" And he's like, "Yes, when's the battle?" Kawamatsu's asking, "When's the battle? When's the rebellion?" He's like, "It's 9 days from now. It's during the Fire Festival." And Kawamatsu's like, "Yes, let me out of here and I'll be ready to fight with you, by your side." So not even a debate. Kawamatsu was going to fight beside them. They're allies. They've always been. And Raizo is like, "Okay, well, what do you need for me to get you out of here?" And he's like, "Well, you need to get the keys to the cell itself, and then you need to get the keys to my shackles. However, I've been in here so long, they're rusted. So I don't even know if, you know, that'll even work, if the key will even be able to open them anymore. But that's where you can start, right?" So I guess Raizo only stole the keys to Luffy's cuffs or the sea stone cuffs of certain prisoners. He didn't steal the keys, like the master keys to the entire prison, if those would even exist, you know? So I don't know if Raizo has to go all the way back up to the tower now and brawl against Solitaire. By the way, quick mention of Solitaire, the deputy warden, or the deputy guard jailer, whoever she was. People have brought up, like, wait, she had 6 arms. She's a monkey smile, but she had 6 arms. So I actually found 2 references to this. Either you could take the reference of Spider Monkey, which is what I originally thought it was. Get it? Because she's a spider monkey, because she has 6 arms. And also the other reference that I read on Artor's page is there's a game Solitaire, but there's also a variant of that game called Spider Solitaire, and I never understood that. I remember back on the old 90s computers there was Solitaire and Spider Solitaire, but I never understood Spider Solitaire, so I never played it. I remember my dad played it quite a bit, but yeah, those are probably the references to why she has 6 arms. I don't think it's going to be relevant in any way, like, lady has 6 arms. Like, all right, that's cool. We've seen weirder things in One Piece. I don't think she has, like, a mythical monkey artificial zone or something like that. I think she just ended up with 6. I think it's a joke on Oda's part. But anyway, yeah, so Kawamatsu has been in this cell for a long time. I don't know if he's been in the cell for 20 years exactly, but if not 20 years, it's been at least a long time. Like, I would say over a decade easily. Maybe after Odin, the castle burned down and everything, and Kinemon and everybody got sent into the future, maybe Kawamatsu was able to live on his own for a little while, maybe like trying to do as best as he can to evade Kaido and Orochi's forces, but eventually got captured. But he's been in this prison for a very long time, and they do not screw with him. They chained him to a wall to the point where he can't even move. So, you know, the whole thing, he's in silhouette, he's in shadow, we can only see his eyes, and Raizo even asks him, "Come closer." I can't. I'm chained to the wall. I can't move. So they know how dangerous he is. He's probably an otter mink, like I said last time. Very dangerous. They don't even screw with him. They just chain him to a wall so long that the chains are all rusted, and they throw in boneless fish like once or twice a day for him to eat, and some water, I guess, and that's all they do. They don't even bother letting him out of the cage to go get exercise or whatever. They don't even mess with him. So he's a force to be reckoned with, and if he's a mink on the same level of Inuarashi and Nekomamushi, you know he's wicked strong. He has Electro if he's a mink, so I'm interested, maybe they're suppressing that in some way, maybe doing something with his cell so he can't use Electro, or it doesn't matter if he could, because it couldn't hurt anybody if he's, like, isolated in the cell. If he's bound by metal, I would be curious if Electro couldn't just channel through the metal, but I don't know how that works. But anyway, yeah, I'm assuming he is a mink. He's probably just having his powers repressed in some way. So, yeah, Raizo, though, is right about to go get the keys when that cart behind him gets moved, and everybody turns and sees Raizo, this intruder, standing there talking to Kawamatsu, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, that's the guy that stole the keys!" And he's like, "Oh, crap! Ninja smoke escape no jutsu!" And he just poofs, and he's out of there. So that's a very useful ability if he could just disappear and reappear. I'm sure he can't teleport long distances, but he can, like, you know, poof and reappear a few meters away, or some hide behind a wall or something like that. That is the true ninja way, right? So yeah, that's interesting there. Kawamatsu is willing to fight. He's been in there for a very long time. They're still gonna free him in some way. So now Raizo doesn't really need to worry about Luffy at this point, because Luffy has his cuffs off. Queen did not specify a way to get the collar off. Queen did not say, like, the only way to get the collar off is to use this key I'm holding, or nothing like that. They didn't actually talk about how you get the damn thing off, so I'm thinking Luffy's just gonna break it somehow. But yeah, so that's the situation at the prison. Deathmatch is getting started, and a bunch of people come charging at Luffy at once. They take out swords. They're armed to the teeth. There's, like, I think, how many guys are there? How many guys are jumping Luffy's bones right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like 5 at first. They send the first wave. wave, and they're nothing but just riffraff, really. They're not important. They don't have smiles. They're not gifters, I don't think. They're just really buff guys with swords and shit, and they're coming at Luffy. And since Luffy has his cuffs off now, he can focus, because whatever that collar's made out of, it's not Sea Prism, because he can now use Haki again. And so he's just like, oh, it's been a while since I've had a good Conqueror's knockout wave. And he just, boom, drops all of those first wave of fighters immediately. Everybody in the entire arena is like, ah! I'm imagining like they're squealing like that too. I'm imagining like you got all these really big buff guys in the arena like, yeah, freaking destroy Straw Hat! And then Straw Hat just does the Conqueror's wave and knocks them all out, and they're like, yeah, go kill Straw Hat! And so Queen is surprised that Luffy has it, but he's not, like, terrified. He doesn't, like, freak out, like, what? He has Conquerors! Oh, we need to stop him! No, he's basically just like, a Conqueror's user, huh? Kind of like, you know, oh, this is getting interesting. This is gonna be more fun than I thought of. This is good that I took off those cuffs. This would be over right now. I don't think this would be over right now. Even if you left the cuffs on, I think Luffy could somehow take out a group of 5 dudes wearing a freaking WWE belt and some katanas. I don't think Luffy would have a lot of trouble with that. But yeah, eventually I figure Queen is just going to keep sending wave after wave after wave. Eventually we're probably going to get to the point where Queen does get seriously pissed off that Luffy keeps dropping all of his men, and he's like, oh, what? I'm going to do this my own funky self. Cue my music. Don't. Another one bites the dust. No, don't. Oh my god, that's Queen! I'm not even kidding you. I did not plan that. It's like, that's the first song that popped in my head. Like, my subconscious just took it away. It's like, okay, Matt, you're talking about a character named Queen, so that's the reason why you're gonna have his theme song be Queen. It's like, oh, okay, good. Seriously, that was just my subconscious taking that away. So, Freddie Mercury, you're... good job. I still have to see the movie. Is the movie good? I haven't seen the movie yet. I really want to see the movie. Alright. So, Luffy drops everybody, and he states, man, that's not even a threat. You know, it's like, this wasn't even practice. Come on! You know, so it's like, I don't even know, like, Luffy wants to escape, obviously. He wants to get back to his crew and all that stuff. He doesn't want to stay stuck in the prison for this long. But Luffy's just kind of like, man, I've been in here for probably days now, you know, and I finally get my cuffs off. I get to find G back again, and he could use his Gumu Gumu no powers, but we haven't seen that yet. He's just all hockey right now. And he's like, well, I'm here. I might as well fight you guys, but on the ankles of people, that crescent moon, right? So they're like, okay, well, if that's the situation, all we got to do is just look and check people's ankles. We're the ones that are working under Kaido. We're the ones that own this country. We just go down the street and ask people to show us their ankles, and they basically have to do it because we're in charge here. Also, when you can turn into a giant dinosaur, like if I'm just walking down the street, and then a freaking Allosaurus just, show me your ankle. Okay, here's my ankle, sir. Here's my ankle. You know, like, I don't think you could really say no in that situation. But they do the smart thing and they go to the bathhouse because, you know, ha-ha! So they go to the bathhouse because they figure, well, that's the easiest place to see it because people are naked in there anyway, and it's mixed bathing, so we get to see the men and the women, and we just get to check everybody's ankles, lip, cheerio, and there you go, right? So Drake decides to stay outside, and he's like, I'm just gonna, yeah, Hawkins, you go in and check your stupid idea. I'm just gonna stand out here and stand guard, because we're supposed to be looking for that Soba Mask guy, you know? And Hawkins is just like, are you, you know, like, are you uncomfortable coming in here, seeing naked women? And Drake is just like, no, I am a member of the 6 Flying Captains. I am a warrior of Kaido's crew. I will stand guard here for Soba Mask. So, yeah, I'm thinking Drake is kind of a pervert, so that's always good to know, to find out everybody else that's, like, in the same vein as Sanji, but Sanji's at least open with it. Drake is the character that's like, naked women, I'm not going in there. I'm just gonna stand out here and stay guard. I'm a dinosaur, shut up. You know? Alright, so Hawkins goes in, and a bunch of his men go in as well, and they basically commandeer the bathhouse, and they're just like, you know, Hawkins takes out his straw sword and everything, and he's like, alright, everybody, Stop what you're doing, get out of the freaking bathtub, stop, you know, wiping yourself off or whatever. Everybody front and center. We're looking for people that have crescent moons tattooed on their ankle because they're leading a rebellion. And Nami and Robin and Shinobu are kind of surprised by this. Like, how did they find out our secret? And once again, I got to address this. Like, you passed this flyer out all over Wano. You made multiple copies, like hundreds of copies, to pass out to people on the street. Did you not think, at some point, Kaido's crew, or Orochi's men, or the Yakuza would end up finding these leaflets? This is like if you're just, you know, dropping freaking leaflets out of the sky, and you expect, like, there's gonna be bound to be at least one person that's gonna be like, what the hell is this? And they just throw it on the street, and then one of the Yakuza, or one of Orochi's men, or God help you, a headliner, walks down the street and picks it up, and they're like, okay, a crescent moon, that's the symbol of the Kozuki clan, obviously. 2 cranes, that represents the Fire Festival. And a snake, that represents Orochi. So the Kozuki clan is leading a rebellion at the Fire Festival at exactly 5:30 p.m. Oh, well, that was easy. You know, because they're going to know what it means, too. They're going to be aware of what these symbols mean as well. Like Luffy and the Straw Hats didn't know because they're not from Wano. Anybody else could pick these up and know. Unless that was part of Kinemon's plan. I would actually be really, really impressed by that. If Kinemon and Kanjuro's plan this entire time was like, pass out this leaflet all over town to gather supporters, this is the time we're going to be attacking, but when we get everybody rallied together, we're going to change it. We're going to change the time of attack. So this is like, this leads them on, like it's not going to occur until this time when it actually occurs a little earlier. Maybe something like that. I would be impressed if that, but yeah, there's no surprise that Hawkins and everybody figured out the plan. These things are everywhere. So anyway, Shinobu is like, oh crap, this isn't good, because Hawkins is going to be able to recognize Robin and Nami, because Hawkins is also outside of the country, and he's aware of the Straw Hats, and he's aware of all their bounty posters and shit. He's seen all their pictures. I don't know if Hawkins has seen all of the Straw Hats in person, but he's definitely seen all their wanted posters, so he's aware of them. So Shinobu's like, Robin, Nami, hide behind me. And so Robin and Nami, like, they scoot behind Shinobu, and there's this really cool scene where Robin uses her eye flower technique. That's not a move we get to see very often, but Robin creates an eye coming out of one of Shinobu's pigtails, so even though they're hiding behind Shinobu, she could still see what's going on with Hawkins and everybody, so that was a cool little touch. And then it doesn't take Hawkins very long, though, to realize, hey, there's somebody hiding behind, you know, that lady over there talking about Shinobu. It's like, reveal yourself. So he takes out his straw sword and he points it, and it extends, and Nami steps out, and Nami's just like, she's still wearing a towel, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just a poor little... And then, like, the angels begin to sing from on high. They descend. Cherubs begin to dance around the bathhouse. This is actually what happens, take my word for it. As Nami's bathrobe, though not a bathrobe, just a towel, her towel slowly just drops to the ground, revealing her perfect feminine form, and it just, boom, just erupts like a light from on high. Like, ah, my eyes! My eyes! And it's hilarious. It's like not even the men, like all the men immediately just lose like 4 quarts of blood just from the nosebleeds immediately. But you also get to see women in the bathhouse. They're like, ah! You see little kids, they're like, ah! And everybody's just like, this is superstar level right here. So I think the country just found their new Komurasaki. In fact, I would be rather, you know, amused by that if everybody forgot about Komurasaki. Like, Komurasaki is dead. She was this country's national treasure. Tales of the bathhouse beauty now spring up in Wano. A beauty that rivals Komurasaki herself. She has been reincarnated. Our beloved. But yeah, it's always great. Nami uses the happiness punch once again. A technique that she originally used back at Alabasta. It was more of a comedy technique, but in this case, it actually succeeded. You know, like, this was something that, no, this is a good time to use it, because apparently just using the power of her body alone, she can apparently cause mass blood loss and knock out pretty much everybody around her, man, woman, or child. So that's a useful ability to have. Kind of OP, honestly. I think, Oda, I think you're making Nami a little bit too OP here. But anyway, it gets better. So Which surprises nobody. Sanji was present the entire time. He saw everything. He saw them getting into the shower. He saw them getting out. He saw them in the hot springs. He saw them with the octopus. You know, I don't know. But Sanji was there for everything. But after that occasion, after Nami's towel falls down, Sanji is just like, can't contain it anymore. And I guess his lust deactivates his suit's invisibility function, because all of a sudden just an eruption of blood comes out of his nose, and it's like rockets him back and knocks him into the back of the freaking bathhouse, and he's visible again. He's wearing the outfit, and he's like, Nami's beauty overflows like a mighty river. Ah. Now, the two things that are interesting here. Number one, Nami knows who he is immediately. It's not like, oh, who is this mysterious masked pervert? No, Nami knows immediately. Sanji-kun. And also, she doesn't get that mad at Sanji peeking on her at first. She's more of just like, what are you wearing? Are you taking this serious? Like, that's more of what she's concerned by. But yeah, that is the power of Nami's happiness punch. And oh my god, after I'm actually looking at this now, Sanji's suit is now looking more like Ichiji's suit than his stealth black, because there is blood like all over that thing. Like, it is covering like basically his, that's gonna be a really, how do you dry clean a raid suit exactly? How do you clean that? He's gonna have to ask Frankie and Usopp to modify it or something, but yeah, it is just coated in ketchup right now. It is just completely covered. And so everybody realizes in the bathhouse, like, oh, that is the Soba mask that defended the town. And then Drake is hearing all about this. Drake is like, Soba mask? And so he goes back into the bathhouse. As soon as he walks in, though, he sees a woman getting dressed. Not Nami, he just sees a woman getting dressed. And he's immediately like, wait, Soba mask is in here? What the ball? And he just immediately gets floored. Like, just like that. Didn't even take it. He drops right on top of Hawkins. And it's just like, Hawkins is like, dang it, if you could have told me you couldn't handle looking at naked women, you know, this is no time for comedic effect. Just tell me if you can't so I can prepare accordingly. I'm a fortune teller, but there are limits to what I can detect. I can't detect pervertedness, Drake. And so they get up and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, shut up, Hawkins. So they both look, though, at Soba Mask. Soba Mask hurries up, and Shinobu and Nami and Robin, they all get dressed really quick, and Sanji grabs them and uses his, I guess, a combination of his skywalk or just the technology of the Germa suit, and they fly away into the sky. So they manage to get away while Hawkins and Drake are on the ground, and so they get back up, they compose themselves. Hawkins is like, freaking moron, you ruined it. But here's the interesting part. So Hawkins states, hey, Drake, wait a second, you're from the North Blue too, same as me, right? And Drake is like, yeah, I'm from the North, who cares? And they're like, didn't that guy look like Stealth Black from the Germa Double Six? Like, holy crap, he did! So, it's just crazy. From their perspective, this would be like if all of a sudden, like, the Power Rangers just, it's like, hey, that guy that beat us up and then escaped, was that the Green Power Ranger? I'm like, holy crap, I think it was! You know, how that's like the level of absurdity this is right now. Like, a fictional character is now real and has the same abilities as they do in the comic strip and is now, like, your enemy and is defying your plans all of a sudden. That would be crazy. That would be nuts. You know, like, you're in the middle of a massive war and there are two sides fighting against each other, and then all of a sudden Goku appears and just... It's like, was that freaking Son Goku that just won us this war? I think it is! That's crazy. But hey, you just go along with it. So they're like, alright, I guess we're fighting against not Soba Mask, I guess we're fighting against Stealth Black today. Alright, well, let's make plans accordingly, I suppose. Oh man, so that's the situation there. Sanji, Robin, Nami, and Shinobu all managed to escape. They're flying away using Sanji's assistance. Also, once again, Nami and Robin don't seem really all that upset by Sanji. I'm assuming they're probably gonna lay into him a little later when they're in a safe location. But for right now, they're just flying away, and they're like, Robin even asks him, like, is your nosebleed okay, Sanji-kun? Like, are you gonna be okay? And Sanji's like, yeah, I'm gonna be fine. I'm okay. I saw my dreams come true. You know, okay, this was Sanji's dream. It's a perverted dream. It's a creepy dream, but that is his dream. All right, and you know, I'm sure a lot of other guys have had that dream at some point. Like, if you had the power of invisibility, what the hell would you do with it? What was the first thing you would do with it? But, you know, also, I have to think back to all the moments Sanji has had. Like, he was there during Alabasta, during the first Happiness Punch and all that crap. But also, you remember at one point, Sanji and Nami, they literally swapped bodies, like, at Punk Hazard. So it's not just like Sanji was able to live his dream. He was able to go beyond his dream to parts unknown. So Sanji, at this point, you know, you're good. You're set for the rest of the series, right? Okay, but anyway, he also mentions, this was kind of something that's just off to the side. It just gets dropped, like, out of nowhere. But Sanji mentions, as they're flying away, they're like, oh, by the way, Beppo and the other members of Law's crew got kidnapped. Just something I thought I'd let you know. So Beppo and Sachi and Penguin, we don't know if any of the other members of Law's crew got kidnapped, because Law has a crew of like 20 people, but we only see images of Beppo, Sachi, and Penguin, like the three main members of the Heart crew that we've always seen, you know, and so they got kidnapped by Kaido's crew, and they're trying to you know, weed out Law. They're trying to find him somewhere in the country, try to learn, hey, Law, we captured some of your subordinates. If you want to meet us by the pier at 6 o'clock, come alone. You know, that kind of crap. So, yeah, that's the situation going on there, kind of brought up at the last minute. So, we're probably going to be getting some more Law action coming up in the future, which is always good. I always like to see Law. You know, it's sad because Law, up to this point, is just basically, like, his one role so far was, like, stopping Luffy from doing stupid stuff and trying to get him to listen to plans, and Luffy just won't listen to plans, or he say he will, and then he just doesn't, so, yeah. But, yeah, Law will be coming up. Law's the honorable guy. He's not just going to let his fellow crew members get, you know, wiped out or whatever. I'm sure Beppo's like, Captain, come and save us, please! You know, so, yeah, that's interesting there. But now, last scene of the chapter, we cut over to the Ringo region of Wano. This is the northern graveyard area. This is the northern area where it's really snowy and stuff, and so this is actually where Zoro ended up, okay? So, as you recall, last chapter, they were at Ebisu Town, you know, Law and Frankie and Usopp, they got to Ebisu, and they're talking to Tonoyasu, and he's like, oh, well, Zoro was here, but he had one of his swords stolen, so he ran out after the thief. And so this apparently ends at the northern graveyard, where you have the thief. We get to see the dude. He's this giant, imposing, samurai-looking dude. Not really a samurai. He's actually designed after Ben-K, or known as, like, Ben-K of the Seven Weapons. I'm aware of this because there was a Yu-Gi-Oh card made after him. But, yeah, so now I get to talk about the Genpei War back in the 12th century of Japan. Yay, no, I'm not, but no, so, to suffice it to say, I think his title kind of speaks for itself. Ben-K was a mighty warrior that would carry around 7 weapons to fight with. What are those 7 weapons? Well, they are, of course, a katana, so a sword, that's the standard, but he also had a masakare, which is a broadaxe, a rake, which is just kind of like a rake, except for battle, a nagigama, which is a sickle, hizuchi, which is a wooden mallet, a saw, which is a nokogiri, and a naginata, which we've seen those before. A naginata is like a polearm spear kind of weapon, so he would carry around those weapons on him at all times, okay, and he's also like a weapon collector, okay, so that was the person that stole Zoro's sword, Shusui. Keep in mind, I don't think we actually learned the name of this dude. His name might just be Ben-K, just going along with that reference there, or it might be something else. It might be a pun, you know, it might be like Ben Bay or something like that. I don't know. But the sword that got stolen from Zoro was in fact his Shusui, which is Ryuma's sword, okay? And the thief, it's a funny scene because they're like, he's standing in the graveyard on this bridge and he's like, ah, you have finally reached me, even though I ran in a straight line. It took you a while to get here, didn't it? Of course, making fun of Zoro's poor sense of direction. So literally he could have just stolen Zoro's sword and been like, I am stealing your sword now! I am running in a straight line for 20 miles. If you walk in a straight line for 20 miles, you will find me. Bye! And it's like 5 hours later, and of course 20 miles, I don't know how far it was actually, but however far it was, I'm sure he was assuming Zoro would be hot on his heels, and he's sitting there like the next day, like looking at his watch, like, where the hell? Does he seriously not care about his sword? What the hell is this? So anyway, Zoro finally reaches him, and he's like, oh, it took you a while, but anyway, I have returned the hollow sword of Shusui back to its rightful place. They're in the northern graveyard, so I'm assuming he returned it to Ryuma's tomb. Ryuma is buried somewhere in the northern graveyard. This is actually going to be really cool, guys. We're going to get to see Ryuma's tomb that was originally plundered by Hogback and Moria 10 years ago, or I guess it would be 12 years ago now with the time skip. They stole Ryuma's body and they took his sword. So his body's still going to be gone. His body was destroyed on Thriller Bark. But I'm sure that his tomb is still open and the sword is just lying there in its resting place. And I'm sure this Benkei dude might be a descendant of Ryuma, or maybe one of the retainers of his family, like somebody, or just somebody that cares about the legend, because Ryuma was a legendary, he was a national hero of Wano. So of course, he might just be like a loyal, like, I am a weapon collector, and I collect weapons and things, but also, when I find a weapon like this, I will treat it with the due most respect. And this weapon was stolen from Wano. It is my duty as a citizen of this country to return it to its rightful place as an honorable Wano citizen. You know, that kind of crap. Even if he actually is just a thief, he's a thief with, like, a code of conduct, like with honor and shit like that, right? So Zoro arrives, and I'm sure this is not the first time he's heard this. In fact, I know it isn't. Like, oh, that sword doesn't belong to you. It's like, oh my god, how many times do I have to explain this to you people? I ran into Ryuma as a resuscitated corpse on this island that was a boat, but it was actually an island from the West Blue that ended up on the freaking Grand Line back in the first half, where this giant onion human had the power to control shadows, and with the combination of him and this giant, also kind of an onion-looking human that could create zombies, created Ryuma after they stole his body from Wano, and got the shadow of a skeleton that was talking because of completely unrelated reasons, got put into him, and he fought me, and he was a cool dude, and he let me have his sword. I bested him in combat, he gave me his damn blade. How hard is it to understand that? I wouldn't believe it either. I'd be like, Benkei is like, he starts to explain. He's like, no, you don't understand. Zombies are real. And he gave it to me. He's like, do you seriously expect me to believe? I can see him like putting down his blade, his naginata. He just sets it down. He's like, wait, whoa. You expect me to actually believe that crap? He's like, yes! Like, let's fight. It's just like, okay. So no one's gonna believe the story, but Zoro is like, yes, I'm aware of I know who Ryuma was, I know his tomb was plundered, I know all of that already. And the Benkei dude is basically like, well, if you're already aware of that, then head back to whence you came. If you continue onward, I will also relinquish you of the 2 more blades you have on you, talking about the Wado Ichimonji and the Kitetsu. And so Zoro is just kind of like, oh, all right, and it's a fight, and Zoro is not one to give up on a fight like this. So they're basically just like, aha! And they take out their blades and they clash, and then that's the end of the chapter. Okay, so this is gonna be cool though. I'm sure eventually, somehow, I don't know how, but somehow, this dude Benkei and Zoro are gonna have to come to an understanding, okay? I don't know how it's going to work, because like I said, explaining the story of what actually happened, that's going to be difficult. And it's not like Ryuma gave Zoro anything else. Like, he gave him a note. And it's like, by the way, before I disappear into nothingness, take this note to my family if you ever go to Wano, to let them know that I cherished my moments with them or everything. Like, I ended up dying an honorable death or something like that. Ryuma didn't have time to do anything like that. The only thing he gave Zoro is Shusui, and that's not proof enough that he met Ryuma as a reanimated corpse. You know, that fact alone would be kind of hard to understand. In the rest of the world, maybe, because devil fruits are well known, and they have wacky powers, and people might even know about the Kage no Mi and its ability to resurrect the dead. Well, of course they do, because it was in the paper. You know, Moria, zombie army. But Wano people, they don't know that crap. The only thing I can think of is maybe something that Ryuma told Zoro. Something that nobody else would know except for Ryuma. I'm trying to think of something Ryuma might have said to him, and so Zoro could say to Benkei, like, oh yes, the samurai Ryuma, he told me, blah, 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 blah. And Benkei's like, oh, the only person that would know that information is Ryuma himself. maybe you did meet him, something like that, but I don't think he said anything like that. He knew he was a samurai from Wano, he knew he slayed a dragon, but all that stuff is common knowledge in Wano. He's like, I know Ryuma, I met him, he slayed a dragon, like everybody, every child in Wano knows that story. So that wouldn't be anything. The only other thing I can think that Zoro has going for him is he kind of resembles Ryuma when he was alive. So maybe he could do that. Maybe one of Ryuma's ancestors, or no, descendants, sorry, one of Ryuma's descendants could stumble upon Zoro and see him and be like, that is a spitting image of Ryuma in his younger years. Maybe something like that. That's the only way I could see this happening. And they go and they visit his tomb and they tell the story of Ryuma properly. Like, we find out the history of Ryuma and everything and what he did and how he fought against the dragons. Maybe Oda inserts a few references from monsters in there, a few more references from his one-shot. And after his family understands that Zoro did meet him and that the sword does rightfully belong to him, I don't know how this would work, because it's stated that some swords, like the Kitetsu, they're cursed. They kind of give off their own aura. Not like swords have, like, you know, spirits living in them, like in Bleach, like with the Zanpakuto spirits or anything, but they have an aura about them. So, I don't know. Maybe, like, if Zoro looks at the sword and Ryuma's ancestors, I keep saying ancestors, descendants are there, maybe they could feel, like, the energy coming off the blade, like the aura. And they could feel it like Ryuma is, like, smiling upon Zoro. Like, Ryuma is there, his spirit in a way. And it's like, I want this man to have this sword. He won it fair and square from me in a duel. I gave him this. I want him to have it. So maybe they could look at the aura and be like, the sword is telling me it belongs to you. For some reason, I don't know why, but it's telling me it wants to be with you. And so we have to give it to you. And they take it out of the tomb and they give it to Zoro. And it's kind of this, like, rite of passage thing where Zoro gets the sword, but it's like he really does feel like the true weight of what it is. Because he learned the story of Ryuma and everything about the blade and how important it is to the people of Wano. And he understands, you know, Ryuma's strife and his journey and everything. How did Ryuma die originally? That's the thing. You could say he just died, because it was 400 years ago. You could say he died of natural causes, but that seems kind of boring for a samurai, you know what I mean? So he slayed a dragon, and we know his corpse was plundered by Hogback, but how did he die naturally in his life? We'll find that out probably at some point. So there's that. I hope to also find out more about the Benkei 7-weapon kind of dude. Maybe bust out all these different weapons fighting against Zoro's, you know, two-sword style. That'd be neat. Also, I'd like to find out more about what's going on with the Law kidnapping, the Heart Pirates kidnapping plan. So we'll find out about that, and then we'll continue on with the Sumo Inferno. So we found out a lot of stuff in this chapter. Pretty interesting chapter. Caesar made it out alive, so that's pretty good. So yeah, I'm thinking Luffy, though. I don't think that collar's going to cause him a lot of problems. I think he's just going to be able to rip the damn thing off if we're being honest with ourselves here. That's Luffy. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the chapter. I know I certainly did. Okay, yes, we're all perverts, but you know what? It's fine. At least that's what I tell myself every night. All right, well, yeah, Sanji got to live out his dream, and yeah, Zoro's fighting a giant dude, so that's cool. All right, have a great night, everybody. This will be Tekking signing out. And also remember, this isn't until Monday, but I'm just giving you a reminder now. The Devil Fruit, Design Your Own Devil Fruit Contest announcement stream will be March 18th, this Monday, coming up, at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's going to be me, Nuxtaku, and Rogers Base. We're going to be having a live stream going over the top 50 entries plus the grand prize winner for the entire contest. We're going to be giving out prizes and all that stuff for people. It's pretty cool. It's a project that's gone on, you know, actually, honestly, it actually ended up going about the same length I wanted it to. About I think, 2 months or a month and a half. I actually am surprised I got it done as timely as I was, because there was a lot of entries. But, yeah, so come on and check that out. It'll be saved on my channel in case you can't make it. But, yeah, all right. So that's everything. Tekking signing out. Okay, I'll do Happiness Punch just for you. Happiness Punch!